What's going on, friends? Logan Myerz here for Cinephellas.com to talk about the brand spanking new Hulu show, Castle Rock. The land of Stephen King is finally here on the streaming service. Very, very excited for the show. Last week they premiered the first 3 episodes on Hulu Network, and I really want to dig into this and talk about it because I'm a huge Stephen King fan. So the creators of the show are Sam Shaw and Dustin Thomason, produced by the man, the myth, the legends, Stephen King and J.J. Abrams. And a lot of great actors that are in this ensemble, a lot of actors, actresses that have been in Stephen King films in the past, one being Sissy Spacek from Carrie, Terry O'Quinn playing Dale Lacey. He's the warden of the Shawshank. If you guys remember, he was in Pet Sematary way back in the 80s, one of my favorite werewolf movies. And we have Bill Skarsgård in the show playing the kid, one of the focal points of the show. You know, we're familiar with him playing Pennywise in the It movies, so this time around, he's not wearing makeup, and he's just as creepy. So the first episode, the pilot episode, is titled Severance. Introduces Dale Lacey's character. He's the warden of the Shawshank prison. He's at the end of his career. He's done with the prison. He's off to bigger and better things, as we think, but not really. I will say this particular scene with Dale Lacey in a car and a cliff is something you're not really going to guess. Really great, and it was a good way to kind of get a feel for the show early on in the pilot episode. Introduced to the Henry Deaver character played by Andre Holland. He grew up in Castle Rock, and he's brought back to this town years later for a particular case to his hometown, and brings back a lot of memories of things that happened to him when he was a young child. He was missing. He was out in the freezing weather in Maine, and he was gone for like 11 days, but he survived, and a guy picked him up. He's like really trying to understand how this kid could have survived, you know, below freezing temperatures in Maine for 11 days. There's something odd about Henry Deaver's character, especially him being a child, to where he's at now. Does he still have these weird supernatural abilities? You know, we don't know yet. Essentially at Shawshank, after the warden left, they brought in a new warden, which is played by Ann Cusack. Essentially 2 prison guards find this old abandoned part of the prison that nobody's been using for a long time, and essentially they go down to this part of the prison and they find a cage and a guy in a cage, the kid. It was really eerie the way they went down into this part of the prison because it was completely dark and all you see are eyes, and it's Pennywise's eyes. Bill Skarsgård is the kid. Basically he's put in this cage by the former warden. It really starts to make you guess and try to think and answer, ask questions as, why was there a kid in this abandoned part of the prison, in this cage? How did he survive? Was he put down there for a reason by the warden? You know, a lot of questions going into the second and third episode of this series. The next episode, Habeas Corpus, the prison guards bring in the kid. He's getting examined by the doctors and things like that. He doesn't say a word, really, but he has just like these blank black eyes. They're just like staring out. He has the devil's eyes. Ooh. Bill Skarsgård in the first few episodes of Castle Rock, he doesn't have a lot of dialogue. He's just essentially, his presence of him sitting there and just looking really eerie and out of place is enough to build this character where he's at. And I was trying to really figure out if he has like some sort of demonic or if he has these weird powers. We're still trying to figure this out in this episode. But one thing he does say is Henry Deaver. So, which opens up the character I was talking about, Henry Deaver, coming back to Castle Rock. He's a lawyer. He's come back to try to figure out the kid's identity to get him out of there because he doesn't like Castle Rock and he wants to burn the whole town to the ground. So him finding the identity and figuring out, the prison's that wrong here for capturing and holding this kid captive for God knows how long. The Shawshank is definitely going to be coming across a lot of legal issues. So they're trying to cover up this case of this kid where Henry Deaver's brought back to town with the kid saying his name over and over again. We think that's Bill Skarsgård's name at first, but we find out it's the lawyer. But like most of you, you probably grew up reading Stephen King, and there are a ton of nods and Easter eggs in the show, as you can imagine. This is the Stephen King universe, Castle Rock. It was basically the backdrop to a lot of his novels that he wrote back in the day. Such novels as Needful Things, The Dark Half, Cujo, Dr. Sleep, the list goes on and on. So there's definitely going to be some heavy parts of his novels thrown into the show. And if you pay attention closely, you will see some of those, a few that are really, really great. but I'm not really going to spoil that for you if you haven't seen this yet. But definitely pay attention. If you're a big Stephen King fan, you will see them. And other cool little Easter eggs, I don't know if they did this purposely or if it ties into a certain character from The Shining. Jane Levy plays Jackie Torrance, maybe in relation to Jack Torrance, old Jack Nicholson. But that's her name in the show, and she has kind of a smaller part thus far, but you know, anything she's in, I'm always in. She's a good actress. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jackie Torrance really all, you know, comes into play in a Castle Rock, and if it's going to somehow be attached to The Shining. Another great actor we have in this is Scott Glenn. He plays Alan Pangborn, the retired cop. And Pangborn being the protagonist in a lot of Stephen King novels. It's really cool to see this actor in this show, you know. There's this really cool part with Alan Pangborn in this second episode, I believe, where he's, you know, trying to dig up a dog. And it was obviously a nod to Pet Sematary. So I thought that was pretty cool. And in this show, he's also dating Sissy Spacek's character. She's Henry Deaver's mom, but she's starting to lose it. So this is going to be really cool to see how this all plays out, and if we're going to have tie-ins to some of Stephen King's novels. Another key important character of the show is Molly Strand, played by Melanie Linsky. She plays a pivotal part. She was in Castle Rock. She's basically been there her whole life. She's a realtor. She's a drug addict. She may be telepathic. We don't know yet. But there's also a cool nod with her character to The Shining, especially with the childhood, knowing Henry Deaver and really watching him and knowing what he was thinking, and even when he was like doing bad things, she could see everything he was doing. So they have a relationship, but they're older. They're trying not to bring back stuff from childhood. The first 3 episodes of Castle Rock were really excellent. It was great to see how all these stories and characters are all intertwined and have throwbacks to Stephen King's novels and tie-ins and things like that. Not to mention just all around great cast of people. Bringing in this mysterious character, Kid, played by Bill Skarsgård. And we'll see in the coming episodes what this all has to do with this kid and what they were hiding in the Shawshank. Overall, I had a blast with the first 3 episodes. Like I said, they premiered last week on Hulu. If you haven't watched it already, go ahead and go check it out. You have to binge watch these first 3 episodes. A lot of great content, a lot of great character building, and all around just this mysterious town of Castle Rock. We're back into the Stephen King universe once again. It's very exciting, and I really enjoyed this show. So I'm going to give the first 3 episodes of Castle Rock a 4 out of 5 Stephen King hair pieces. So what'd you guys think? Did you guys like the first 3 episodes of Castle Rock on Hulu? What was your favorite episode? Who's your favorite character? What do you think's all going to happen at the end of the first season? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Logan Myerz signing out from Castle Rock. Until next time, cheers!